Galveston is known as the birthplace of Juneteenth, but history tells us that the island population's attitude towards slavery was never much like it was in much of the South, even before the start of the Civil War. In his weekly visit, author Bill Cherry tells us why.
When Galveston was first settled, rich young businessmen from the East were the first Galvestonians, and that was about 10 years before the Civil War. And they were used to being waited on hand and foot, and they were used to having servants and tradespeople to make their clothes, build their houses, and so forth. Unfortunately, few tradespeople and servants were attracted to Galveston. So in desperation, the island's businessmen hired a public relations firm to get Germans to move here. They even had a big luxury liner built so they could offer them free passage. And when the Germans got here, they began practicing their trades. Houses got built, farms got planted, and a functioning city government got formed. But one thing the Germans didn't like about Galveston was that it had slave markets and people owned slaves. The Germans knew they had to appear to go along with the tradition so as not to offend the customers. But they made sure that their own slaves were well provided for, educated, and treated right. So it is certainly appropriate that the proclamation freeing the 250,000 slaves of Texas was first read in Galveston, a place where a good portion of the population didn't believe in slavery in the first place. Union General Gordon Granger was the one who read the proclamation on June 19, 1865. Juneteenth it's been called ever since. In fact, as crazy as it may sound, for a long time the Galveston chapter of the Ku Klux Klan provided a free dental clinic for black orphan children. When black citizens in the South began to challenge segregated dining rooms in the late 50s, many times there was trouble. But when Galvestonian Kelton Sam sat in at the lunch counter of Woolworth's dime store, no one seemed to think much about it. Now, all of this is not to say that there weren't pockets of trouble from time to time as Galveston followed the federal mandates to integrate. But in the main, most of us found that our feelings on the issue of equal rights had been influenced by our German neighbors. I'm Galvestonian Bill Cherry, and that's my memory of how Juneteenth and integration came to Galveston.